Chairs No Waiting, episode number 782, Mr. Trivia's Trivia. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you each week by the fine folks over at weaversdepartmentstore.com. Drop by over at Weavers and check out some of the new items they've got over there. They've got Colonel Harvey's Indian Elixir. Well, it's just a flask. There's no Indian Elixir in it, but you can get a flask that's got the label for Colonel Harvey's Indian Elixir. Definitely something you might want to check out. While you're there, you might want to get a Mayberry Man, the series. It's going to be coming out at the end of May. You can get a poster, and you can get it signed by Floyd if you want to. And you can get a axe. Well, it's actually a pizza cutter, but you can get a pizza cutter that says pow, 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 or with an axe, Shazam. Head over to weaversdepartmentstore.com and check it out. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you by donations from listeners like you. The executive producer of episode number 782 is Paul Mulik. And the Patreon patron of the week is Mike McGonigal. So thank you guys for supporting the podcast, and thank you for being here with me. Always fun to talk about Mayberry and just have fun and enjoy ourselves. Well, tonight, guys, we're going to be playing some trivia. We're going to play trivia pretty much all night. I've got some voicemail that I want you to hear, and I got a real special treat toward the end of the show. That's something I know you've never heard that you're going to want to stick around and be a part of. It's brand new. All right. So we're going to do some trivia because this week had somebody stop by my house and here in Two Chairs headquarters and wanted to give you guys a little bit of a trivia exam. Okay. So I'm going to pass it on over to our special guest, and he'll introduce himself. Folks, I know you're going to enjoy this, but listen to these trivia questions and write them down or remember them, because what we're going to do is you're going to get the questions, and then we'll do some other things throughout the show. And then toward the middle or end of the show here, we're going to go back into these trivia questions. So I'm going to give you time to think about these, because I've got to admit, these are some of the hardest questions I think we've ever had on this podcast. They are extremely hard questions. I do not expect maybe one person that's in our chat room on Monday nights. Maybe we'll get one question right. Maybe I'll be surprised. But I'll tell you this, I didn't know any of the answers. So let me throw you over to our Mr. Trivia himself and let him ask you the questions.
Me, they. Boy, this thing sure takes the gumption out of you. Hi, folks, I'm Paul Mulik. I was in Huntsville, Alabama for the weekend competing in the North American Brass Band Championship. So Cindy, my wife, and I, we stopped off here to visit with Alan and Jan for a bit, and I thought I'd give you a couple of trivia questions. Now, these are really hard ones. You might have heard me give them on Facebook before, but maybe not. I'm going to tell you three things, and you need to tell me where in Mayberry these things can be found. Number one, a display of antique pistols. Number two, an atomic submarine. And number three, a white cat. If you got really sharp eyes, you might have spotted those somewhere in or near Mayberry in episodes of the Andy Griffith Show. Alan's going to come back later to give you the answers. Bye. 10-4.
All right. So there's the questions. They are an antique pistol display somewhere in one of the episodes. So be thinking about this. I'm going to give you time to think. There's a atomic submarine that we see. Okay, and a white cat. When and where did those things, when were they seen? Where were they seen? Woo, guys, I'm telling you, when Paul said that, he said I would be coming back to give you the answer. I went, well, you're going to have to tell me the answers because I don't know. I did not know any of these. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to do some regular trivia. Okay. So I'm going to pull up our regular trivia music and do some of Paul's regular trivia, not these super hard questions, right? But we're going to play some of it first, and then we'll come back and revisit the super trivia question. So yeah, in our chat room, we're looking for Jim Sherrill. I don't think he's in our chat room tonight. So I don't know if anybody will get the answers right. Jim Sherrill, by the way, is a Mayberry Days multiple-time trivia champion. Paul Mulik, if you don't know, is also a multi-time trivia champion from several years past. He's not been at Mayberry Days in several years, but he was also a trivia expert. That's why I called him Mr. Trivia. So, all right. So let's get some background music going for us for our trivia. Now, these are for some more easier questions from Paul. Okay, so also from Mr. Trivia himself, Paul Mulik. These are, remember from last week, these are topic is Mount Pilot. It's Mount Pilot. All right, so these should be a little bit easier if you guys are ready. So these are worth 1 point each, and we'll do, I don't know, maybe 6 questions here. All right, you ready? Barney once tricked Andy into going to Mount Pilot to meet Skippy and Daphne, aka the Fun Girls, at what restaurant? I know this is still hard. I know it's still hard, but it's not as hard as those 3 questions I just gave you. So our chat room is going through trying to figure out these answers as we go as well. So if anybody gets them right in the chat room, you guys are going to have to tell me, because this is amazing. All right. If you'd like to join our chat rooms, there are several different chat rooms. There's one, our main chat room. You'll find it live.2chairsnowaiting.com. And on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern time, you'll find there's about 32 folks in there right now visiting with one another. And there's folks over on YouTube as well and at Facebook. So join in the community. I think you'd enjoy it. All right. One more time with this question. Barney once tricked Andy into going to Mount Pilot to meet Skippy and Daphne, aka the Fun Girls. That's the Fun Girls. At what restaurant? At what restaurant was it? Okay. All right. So just as a little help, I don't think it'll really help, but the episode was called Barney Mends a Broken Heart. Okay. So what restaurant did Andy and Barney go to Mount Pilot to meet Skippy and Daphne? The answer is the Tip Top Cafe. Tip Top Cafe. All right. How'd you do? Did you get that? I see our chat room had several people that were kind of getting that. So that's good. All right. Our next question. Number 2. What Mount Pilot business sponsors a bowling team? Okay. What Mount Pilot business sponsors a bowling team? Now, this is a color episode. Got to watch color episodes. Try to get them right, too. Oh, these are hard. So I'll go ahead and give you the episode was Howard the Bowler. I think most of you would remember it's the one where Howard was bowling. Well, okay, it's that episode. What Mount Pilot business sponsors a bowling team? That's the question. All right, it's a Mount Pilot business, not a Mayberry business. What Mount Pilot business? It's not Howard's team. It's the other team. Okay. Does it help you if I tell you their uniforms? I think were green, if I remember right. The answer is Truckers Cafe. Truckers Cafe sponsors the Mount Pilot bowling team. Truckers Cafe. Woo! Boy, I'm telling you, these are easier than those 3 original questions, but I'm not sure how easy they are, but okay. All right. Number three. Ben Weaver was outraged when he thinks that what Mount Pilot businessman is planning to open a store in Mayberry? I should have had Bert read this one. Ben Weaver was outraged when he thought that what Mount Pilot business was planning to open a store in Mayberry. So there you go. Thank you, Bert. Thank you for that. Good read. All right. Ooh, what store was it? Now, that was in the Merchant of Mayberry. I already kind of gave that away because it's Bert, right? What was the name of the store? Folks in the chat room, I see somebody got it right. The answer, what store was it? The merchant, the guy's name was Jim Stevens. So if you said Stevens, I'll give you the answer. That's correct. Jim Stevens. You're not going to let Jim Stevens open a store in this town, Andy. I'd tell you, that kind of conversation with Ben. That's where that occurred when Bert was running his stand there when he had. So it was Ben It was Jim Stevens from Stevens Department Store. Stevens Department Store. All right, what are we up to? 4. We're up to number 4. Here we go. Question. According to Opie's estimate, how long would it take him to ride his bicycle to Mount Pilot? According to Opie's estimate, how long would it take him to ride his bike to Mount Pilot? Wow, this is an episode called Floyd's Barbershop, by the way. According to the estimate, Opie's estimate, how long would it take him to ride his bike to Mount Pilot? I don't see anybody in our chat room jumping on this question. Maybe over on YouTube. Are you guys getting? I can't see you guys right now. I don't see much. All right, guys, here comes the answer. You can always pause if you don't want to hear it if you're watching the recording. According to Opie's estimate, how long would it take him to ride his bike to Mount Pilot? So y'all remember all these. These will help you in future trivia questions, I'm sure. His answer was it would take him about 6 hours. About 6 hours. Oh, Mrs. Magruder at the last moment jumped in the chat room and gave that answer. But that is the correct answer. 6 hours. It was in the episode Floyd's Barbershop. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 5. Number 5. What Mount Pilot business is located next door to the law firm of Lonas, Hill and Davison? That's Lonas, Lonas. What Mount Pilot business is located next door to the law firm of Lonas, or maybe it's Lonas, 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 Hill and Davison? Okay. I'll give you a little hint when you get close to it here. Give you a little hint. The episode is A Deal is a Deal. Oh, folks in the chat room jumping in there. I see Emmett got this answer already. What Mount Pilot business is located next door to the law firm of Lonas, Hill and Davison? The answer is the Miracle Salve Company. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, you just had to see that out the door. That's all it was. When they were walking up to the door, that's where you would have seen that. That's a great trivia question. Folks in our chat room were getting it. Good job, Emmett. He gets credit as first person I saw that gave that answer. All right. Last question of these easy questions. Easy. These are easy. All right. Remember, it's got to do with Mount Pilot. All of these do. So, what is the name of Flora's friend in Mount Pilot who is in the wholesale fur business? Oh, maybe you should know this. Even if you don't watch the color episodes, you might know this one. I knew this one. Yay, I knew one. What is the name of Flora's friend? Remember that was Goober's girlfriend, kind of, the waitress down at the cafe. What is the name of Flora's friend in Mount Pilot who is in the wholesale fur business? Now, this is a color episode. The episode would be Emmett's Anniversary. Emmett's Anniversary. Folks in the chat room are getting it. Claudette Beeman, looks like she got it first in our chat room. But folks are chiming in with the answer. The answer is Bernie. Bernie was Flora's friend in Mount Pilot who was in the wholesale fur business. Bernie, played by Ronnie Shell. Ronnie Shell. All right. How did you do? There were 6 questions. You got 6 points. How did you do? Did you get any? Did you get 4? 1? I got 1 at least. Let's see. Would I have gotten any of the rest? I think I could have gotten the Tip Top Cafe. I might have got that one. It's really hard to play when you're looking at the answers. But I knew I would have gotten Bernie, or I'd have been really mad at myself for not getting it. I don't think I would have gotten most of the rest of them. So great job to everybody. Jim Stevens. I might have gotten Stevens. I might have gotten that. Stevens Department Store. He's been trying to get a foothold in Mayberry for years. All right. So how did everybody do? I hope you did well. Some of the folks in the chat room said they got like 3. I thought I saw somebody got maybe 2. Some did poorly, is what they said. That's what they said. Hey, don't be ashamed. These are kind of hard. All right. So here we go. Back to the hard questions. All right. If everybody's ready, you've had a chance to go out and try to figure out these answers. I know you went and watched every episode while we were waiting to go and find these answers for you. So let's get a little more music going. This is different music. I'll play this music because it's hard. These are hard, guys. All right. Question number 1. Did you get it? Did anybody have any idea on question number 1, which is where in Mayberry or where did you see an antique pistol display? Antique pistol display. We'll find out from Jim Sherrill how many he got right. He'll have to. I'm calling you out right here, Jim. Let us know. Let me know. Because if you don't get these, nobody will feel quite as bad. I wouldn't feel bad anyway, by the way, guys. These were incredibly hard. All right. The antique pistol display, I'm not going to give you any more time to try to think about it, was actually up at O'Malley's cabin. O'Malley's cabin is where you saw it, where they had the convicts, had Barney and Floyd captured up at the cabin. It's right by the front window where Big Maud stood and went, "There's nobody here." If you remember that. It's behind, there's a table there with I guess it's a pine cone lamp is what I would call it. And you can see the pistol display there. There's several different shots during the entire scenes while they're at O'Malley's cabin where you can actually see the pistol display. So if you watch the actual episode here on the video version, I'm showing pictures of what the things look like. So you'll be able to see where it is and where it was going. So folks in the chat rooms are like, amazing. That's exactly where I thought it was. Me too. That's what I thought. Now, let me tell you why I don't feel too bad about not knowing this. Even after Paul told me, it took me, 10, 15 minutes per question to just go out and find a screen capture that I could show you that showed these episodes answers. So, okay, so it's at O'Malley's cabin, just inside the front door to the right. That's where that would be. So when you watch the episode, Convicts at Large, which by the way, I wrote this down, so I ought to tell you. It's an episode, it's Convicts at Large from season 3. That'd be episode number 11, Convicts at Large. That's where you'll find the antique pistol display. All right, so his next question was about an atomic sub. Where did we see an atomic submarine? An atomic submarine. Wow. And let me tell you, if you even think you know this one, I would love to see. It's not a pineapple. It is actually, people in the chat room say it looks like a pineapple. No, it is actually it's a pine cone. It's a pine cone is what it is, because throughout the cabin, you can see other pine cones stacked up as display. It's like you go to a cabin at somewhere. If you ever go to a cabin up in the mountains, they always have pine cones around, and bears, stuff like that as decoration. Well, that's what this particular cabin had. So, all right. So let's go on to our next question here. So, where did you see the atomic sub? Did anybody get it? Folks are guessing. They're guessing Walker's drugstore, Opie's room, Howie's sailboat in his basement. That's a really good. I don't think we ever saw that, but that's a great guess. All right. So here's where it was. It's from episode number 21 of season 4. Does that help you? The Shoplifters is what it is episode from. The Shoplifter. No, that's not. Is that? Yeah, The Shoplifter. That's the right episode. It's from episode of The Shoplifter. And it's in the scene. You remember when Barney is duck walking around inside the Weaver's department store because somebody's been stealing at night. So Mr. Weaver goes in and he's in there. Ace is asleep. Remember? Ace is asleep and Weaver's in there. He's kind of walking around there. He hears a noise. Well, it's Barney outside fixing to come in and check everything out. And when Barney comes in, he thinks Mr. Weaver's a burglar. Mr. Weaver thinks Barney's a burglar. Asa is out to the world asleep. He's not having any problems. Barney's doing the duck walk thing where he's staying low. Well, eventually, during that scene, Barney gets startled by Mr. Weaver and runs into a big stack of boxes that is right behind Asa. Okay, so that's what you're looking for in the show. When the boxes fall, that's the only time you can see it. Asa starts to wake up, and right behind him there is a box just to to his left, because he's sitting sideways to the screen. Just to his left, there's a box right behind him, and that box actually says Atomic Sub, because I zoomed in and looked, and sure enough, that's exactly what it says. It says Atomic Sub on it. And that's where the answer is. So the answer is there. I was actually able to go out and research, and I found the actual submarine toy that it was. It was made by Remco. It was called the Barracuda Atomic Sub, and it was a toy that you could play with. And I'm sure Howie would probably have been floating this down in his flooded basement. So the chat room, you're not doing bad there. That's really good. But it's the Barracuda Atomic Sub. So of course, all of the Mayberry fans now, we all need one of these. They're from 1962, by the way. So that's the year of the toy. So I was able to find it. So just thought you would enjoy that. A little bit more trivia. The Barracuda Atomic Sub, made by the company Remco, R-E-M-C-O, Remco. There you go. All right. So everybody's happy now. They got to see the Atomic Sub on the show, and then the actual real toy. It was a real toy. So, man, pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right. Finally. And again, let me tell you guys, I worked an hour plus just doing screenshots for these so that I could prove that these were actually the right answers. I prepared these 3 questions. I prepared more than I do for an entire episode. No, I'm All right. Our final question that Paul gave us, Mr. Trivia's trivia. Final question is, where in Mayberry did we see a white cat? Any guesses? I didn't remember seeing a cat. I'd never seen a cat. I do not know where that cat came from. I don't know if it was a local cat or if it brought in from somewhere else. I don't know. I didn't know the answer. Perhaps you do. But here is the answer, okay? Nobody's guessing in the chat room. I'm not seeing anything like that. As far as Paul knows, by the way, this is the only cat we ever actually see during the run of the Andy Griffith Show. So if we get that wrong, feel free to write in, send me a screenshot and tell me where it was, and we'll be glad to make an amendment to our answer. So it's a white cat, and it's found in the very last episode of the Andy Griffith Show, Season 8, Episode 30, and it was called Mayberry RFD. That's the one where Sam Jones brings in the Italian family that's going to work there on the farm with him. And in the background, when Opie first meets Sam's friend from the Army, in the background, you can actually see a white cat walking around in the back in the very back of the scene to Sam. If you're looking at the picture on the screen, it's to the left of Sam. Okay, so that's where it is. It's a white cat, and you actually can see it walking around. In the picture I was able to grab, it's a little grainy and blurry, but it's a white cat walking around in the farm area at Sam Jones' farm. That's the only cat that Paul remembers or knows of that we actually ever seen, have ever seen on the Andy Griffith Show. So there you go, guys. That is the white cat. The white cat knew. The white cat knew is what people in the chat. So All right, so that's the only cat. Now, Floyd talked about learning to cut hair on cats. You know, he had the baldest cats in the county. We talked about Mrs. Johnson. Was it Mrs. Johnson's cat that the winking, blinking, and nod, they were afraid the cat was back and it was going to eat one of the baby birds. They talked about that cat. There might be other cats that were mentioned, but we don't know of any other cats actually on the show. So there you go, guys. 3 incredibly hard trivia questions. Thank you so much to Paul Mulik for providing these, I think, fun bits of trivia. Even though we couldn't get them right, it was really a fun experience to me to try to find these answers, even finding them and finding the pictures and everything. So thank you, Paul. Thank you so much for taking the time to do that and recording that nice recording for us. And your warm up for your vocals were really good. That was really good. I thought you really did a great job there as well. So thank you very much. All right. So now we're going to move along. I have a voicemail that I really think you're going to enjoy hearing. And this is something it's very nice that they took the time to do this for us. And let me go ahead and let you hear this voicemail update from Eric, and he'll tell you who he is. So take it away, Eric.
Hi, Alan. This is Eric Norquist, Margaret Carey's son. I wish to address our Mayberry family. By now, many of you have heard that last Friday Margaret fell and fractured her hip. Fractured, not broken. The bone did not separate. Very good news. In the ER, she told stories to the staff and signed autographs. What a trooper. Sunday, she had a surgery and is now the proud owner of a rod and 3 screws. All is well, and she is not in pain. As of today, Sunday, they have Margaret standing. Everything looks good, and we are told it will be a quick and complete recovery. I guess the hospital will have to put up with them being entertained by our beloved Margaret Tinkerbell Carey for a few days. Thank you for your love and your prayers, dear Mayberry family.
Eric, thank you so much for taking the time to call in and share that information about Margaret. Margaret is such a wonderful lady. I can't express what I've enjoyed. For you, if you don't know, that's Bess Muggins from the Christmas. She was on the Christmas episode. She's also on the one where Ben Weaver is trying to foreclose on her family's home. Remember, there were different names in both, but you know which one she was. So we also have this update that I got just a little while ago. It says, from Margaret, this is from Margaret. She said, I'm doing really well, but I don't think I'll do this again. That's what she said. So she fractured her hip. It's not broken. So that's good news. And she also said, please don't send flowers. She would prefer that we send donations to a charity of your choice in her name, such as maybe St. Jude's St. Jude's Hospital for Children, or any other charity where you can make a difference in someone's life. Blessings, Margaret. So she's asked if you would like to do something for her, give a donation to a charity that changes people's lives and actually helps people. So man, she is such, I'm just tearing up. She is such a wonderful, wonderful lady. So sorry that she got injured, but I am so glad that she is doing well. She will hopefully recover and be back and just going like she's been going for so long. She is such a wonderful, wonderful lady. All right, guys, our final little bit of amazingness is something that I got from a fellow fan, I guess, of the Andy Griffith Show. And I definitely wanted to be able to share this with you because it is, it's amazing. Now, the fellow who I got this from, his name's Doug. I'm not going to give his last name because he didn't tell me whether or not to do that. But he donated these to the Andy Griffith Museum in Mount Airy. But he thought it would be fitting to have you folks that listen to the podcast be able to hear what I'm about to play for you, because it's never been heard. This is from the 1960s. These are radio shots or radio clips, I guess promotions from the 1960 time frame that we're going to play for you. I've got 3 of them, and I'm going to do them over the next few weeks. I don't want to do them all at one time. So, folks, here is a real treat, I think, for us all. So I think this will speak for itself. So let's play it for you.
Well, now, I expect I'll come in here somewhere and say that Harrah's Lake Tahoe has asked me to say a few words about the Andy Griffith Show. Now, I've got no objections, since Andy Griffith is my name. And a good part of the show is right here with me at Harrah's right now. Now, that includes old Barney, or maybe he'd like it if I'd give that other name he goes by, Don Knotts. Of course, now there's Gomer. He's here, too. And they got a lot of pretty girls at Harrah's, too. Whew, just dancing up a storm. And let's see if I left out anything. Yeah. It all takes place in the South Shore Room, where the Andy Griffith Show is on stage, live, in person, and on time, twice a night through May 6th at Harrah's Lake Tahoe. I appreciate it.
All right. There you go, guys. That is something I don't think you've probably ever heard, or, I mean, it's probably not been on the radio or anything since the times it was originally aired. So I can tell you, I also did a little bit of research on this as well. And Andy actually said this about that particular series of shows, or actually Don did. Don said, Don told the Archive of American Television how they got the idea to do the Andy Griffith Show, Don Knotts, Jim Neighbors show that came on as a special. You remember those? You may have seen those, hopefully, on YouTube or somewhere. So Don told the Archive of American Television how they got the idea. He said the way that came about was we decided to get up a nightclub act, and we did the Harrah's Club in Lake Tahoe, and the show was a smash. When William Morris came up and saw it and saw how the audiences ate it up, they decided to sell it as a special. So what Andy was talking about is where the Andy Griffith, Don Knotts, and Jim Neighbors show came from. Now, this information was not something I gathered myself. This actually came from TV Land, not TV Land. Oh, I'm sorry, sorry, MeTV. From MeTV. MeTV has it on their website. There's a great story there. I'll try to link it in our show notes so you guys can see it. It's about, the article is actually about this forgotten 1965 TV special, which I just talked about. But this was where that got started, that radio clip we just heard. MeTV, MeTV's going to hate me. I think I've called them TV Land before. But MeTV has a great article about that. It's very short, but I will link it in our show notes so that you guys can check it out. And I want to thank, I appreciate so much having the opportunity to be able to play these things for you guys and to show them. So I want to thank Doug for providing this to us. We got 2 more that we'll be listening to over the next few weeks. So guys, that is the show. Mr. Trivia's Trivia and all these other special things. I hope that you have enjoyed this episode of our podcast. It was a lot of fun for me to get it all together and hopefully bring a little bit of new Mayberry stuff to you and maybe, I don't know, make you really think hard. Folks, I would love to hear from you. You can give me a call at 888-684-8415 and tell me what you thought about it. Did you enjoy these trivia questions? Were they really hard? You probably don't even have to tell me that. But what did you think about these this radio clip I played? We got 2 more, so be looking forward to those in the next few weeks. Again, you can give me a call at 888-684-8415. Email me at floyd@imayberry.com or drop by twochairsnowaiting.com and leave a message. Folks, until next time, have a great Mayberry week, and I'll see you here on 2 Chairs.